right, is everybody ready? Yeah! All right, now here we go. A one, a two, a one,
Let's get it on. Week 6 done and in the books. We got another episode of the Get Sunday Covered podcast. I'm your boy Cody, joined as always by Mr. Tiggle Gritties, my good friend Brandon. How you doing, my guy?
What's good, brother? How we feeling over there?
Man, everything is doing great, man. Doing great. I can't believe it. We are one day away from week 7 already, halfway through the fantasy season, man. It goes so fast.
It really does, bro. Like
Crazy.
it's
You know
gone
what's exciting
insanely
though?
fast. What's that?
We're into week 6, and I've already matched the same amount of wins that I had all of last season. That's so cool. I gotta
uh,
be excited about it, man. That's awesome.
I guess you gotta
How'd
be
you do this
excited
weekend?
about something. I went 4-2. Um, and it's all right. I I've had
Yeah, we'll
some.
talk. You're good.
Oh, fuck, bro. I'm so Seamus. Fuck you. That's all I can
Yeah,
say. How about that?
that's
Let me just put
that's
that
a
in
tough one,
now.
man.
Bro, I'm so
That's a tough
pissed.
one.
Like, dude, the thing that pisses me off the most is all 3 of my losses. I'm top 4 or 5, 4 in scoring on the week, and I fucking lose, bro. It's just so irritating. And like, ah, you, Jordan, and Seamus all decide to throw up your best weeks against me up to that point in the season. So it's just like, what the fuck can I do?
Yeah. If you guys didn't catch the interview with Jordan this weekend, we talked a little bit about that. And like I'm of the opinion that that's like the worst way to lose, man. I would rather get blown out than lose to the only other team that scores higher than you, honestly.
It honestly, it's to the point where like I'm really gonna try and push probably next year to put in a league
Please.
median, because I mean, if I feel like if we had the league median, I'd probably be sitting first or second overall, to
Yeah.
be 100% transparent, because I've
Yeah.
been like I've been scoring. I mean, my points for are blowing everyone out right now.
Yeah. You're first in the league for points scored, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, tough, man. I'm glad everything else went well. We got a lot of stuff to talk about today. We're going to get to the normal stuff. As always, we're going to recap the week, talk about the standings, kind of update you on how everybody's doing in the league. Obviously, we're going to have Brandon Betts and a little bit of Commissioner Corner as well. So jam-packed episode as always. Thank you guys for joining us one more time. We're going to start it off with a quick question this week. Brandon, just wanted to ask, we talked about it. We're coming up on the halfway point in the season, and I want to know if you're out there, you're one of these teams that started 0-6, 1-5, or even like 2-4. At what point in the season, if at all, is it appropriate to throw in the towel, so to speak? Like, when do you start giving up hope if you've started this rough, man?
0-6. If you're 0-6, I think you're gonna have a tough break. You may just have to throw in the towel at 0-6. I think if you're 0-6, you better hope and pray there's some way you can go 8-6. It's very tough to get into the playoffs. I feel like if you're 7-7, but you can weasel your way. But yeah, you would have to pretty much win out. And hope and pray you get a couple good bounces your way.
Yeah, I agree, and I think obviously it's format dependent. If you're in a dynasty league, there's no shame in starting to make some moves, for draft picks next year, or tanking for the first pick in the rookie draft. But in a redraft league, and especially like if it's a smaller league like ours, there is a chance. We've seen it happen. Jordan talked about it a couple years ago. Him and Steven both started like 1-4 or 1-5 or something. They both made the top bracket and were in the running for the championship. But I get to looking at some of my leagues, and admittedly a couple of them 1-5, a couple of 2-4s, and it's just like, man, at this point, like that's a steep mountain to climb. And with these teams that they start, the elite teams start separating themselves from these other teams. Like right now in our league, we've got a 4-way tie for last place. None of these teams are really out of it by any means, but I do, start seeing that separation. And I wonder, does that really affect moving forward how much you interact with these other teams, right? Like, are you seeking out to try to trade with a 1-5 team or a 2-4 team? Or are these teams still making moves to try to be competitive? It's something to think about,
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm gonna just give a special shout out to our West Division, cleaning house this week. So we'll get more into that.
Most
But
of us.
yeah, once again, fuck you, Seamus. That's gonna be the title of this episode. Fuck you, Seamus.
I think he may have something to say back to that here in the coming weeks or so. We might try to get him on here. So yeah, if you started 0-6, 1-5, even 2-4, I don't think you're out of it, perhaps, but you're getting close. You need to start getting some wins. Hopefully those start coming your way. But we can just go ahead and jump right into it, Brandon. If you're ready, you want to recap last week? Talk about everything that went down, get it out of the way.
Let's do it. I'm ready. So let's just jump in here and get this week over with. Let's get into this weekly's recap for the week 6 of Get Sunday Covered. All right, let's.
Yeah, it's kind of like reminded me of week 2 a little bit. I feel like you either had a really good week or you had a really crappy week. Ton of injuries here. Big names that got hurt this weekend. So hopefully you were on the right side of that. You want to jump into your game first?
Uh,
Let me rephrase
Seamus.
that. Let's jump into your game first.
Let's jump in. I'm still gonna call this a fluke win. Guy puts up his best week of the year by 30 points, and I mean, what can you do?
And not just his best week, he put up a huge week.
Yeah, I mean, I struggled this week. I mean, I'm not disappointed with my players. Kittle was the only one that really killed me, and then the Dallas defense didn't really do much. He got a hot start on the week with that Kansas City defense, and I was just trying to work my way back all weekend long. Not much I can do,
Yeah.
but I mean, overall, I can't be disappointed with, my top 3, even my top 5. Between my running backs and my receivers, I'm not disappointed in any of their performances. He managed to get Thielen to go off, and then Mike Evans didn't really do much for me, and then my bench really didn't have much, so I'm not disappointed. I'm it's a fluke week for me, and I'm moving on to the next week. I'm sure I'm gonna bounce right back, so I'm not stressing right now. I'm still in playoff seeds, so I still am gonna be able to weasel my way in, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely. We've talked about it in the weeks past. There's not a lot you can do in this situation. I think you made a really good point. Your team looked good. Had you played any others, you probably come out with a dub. I did find an interesting stat, though. I got to looking at this. We've been talking about Amelia's Army after kind of a slow start. He has put up more than 130 points in his last 4 games. He's 2 teams in the league to have done that over that 4-game stretch. The other team being yourself, Typical Gritty's, the only 2 teams with 130 points or more in the last 4 games. So he's got figured out. He's definitely looking good as far as point values going. I don't know, still sitting at 4, but just one of those bummer losses on the week for you, man.
All right, bro. I do have an honest question. I just noticed this, but I don't know what just happened, but confetti just started coming down on my screen on like my video of me. I've never seen that. So I might be just tripping out, but I definitely just saw that happen.
Like on your on sleeper, it did.
No, on my camera, like my live feed.
Sweet.
I was just like just doing shit with my hands, and all of a sudden fucking confetti started raining down. Nothing to celebrate though. I mean,
Yeah,
overall,
they're celebrating
this
Amelia's army.
yeah, I mean, what can you do when he has, Adam Thielen throw up almost 30? I mean, his defense throws up 15. I mean, overall,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of call our tight ends head to head a wash. Kittle had a big week last week, what I was hoping for again this week, and he did jack shiz. But I mean, Jacoby Myers, another great week. And then when you're competing against that Cup Diggs match, I mean, they're both throwing up 100 yards on the weekend. It's tough, and there wasn't really much I could do from that aspect. Was hoping to see Jamar hit that 100 mark. Would have got 20 points out of it probably, but all in all, like I said, I'm not disappointed. It's just this shit happens. Sucks that I was the third highest scorer on the week and I still catch an L. But what can you do? Move
It
on.
is what it is.
Move on into your matchup of the week. I think this was our matchup of the week last week, if I remember correctly.
Yes, sir.
You and Drax, and you took the man down. You finally took him off that mountaintop, man.
Yeah, buddy. Welcome to the loss column, Drax. And I'm happy to be the one to do it.
Here you go,
Yeah,
Haven. Here's your L. Here's your L. Take it.
I was really pleased with this weekend as far as my team goes. Pivoted on my running backs. Playing Pacheco on Thursday night was great. That was part of the trade that I got done last week with Steeler Virginity. So threw him in the lineup. That helped out big time. Obviously, he had a down game from James Cook, but really tough week for Drax. A lot of injuries. Fields going down with the thumb. He wasn't having a great game anyway. I think that injury happened fairly late in the game, if I recall. Either way, that didn't help him out at all. Christian McCaffrey left early. DK Metcalf left for a little bit. So definitely an underwhelming week for this team. But I feel like even without those injuries, like if he would have had an average week for his team, I think this would have been a fairly close matchup. And I feel confident that I still could have pulled it off. So, like I said, after having such a close one last week with Cortland Sutton, I was really coming into this week wishing I was 4-1. So I'm happy to get back into the win column this week for sure.
Take back over that 1 seed in the West, eh?
Yeah, buddy. We got a tight one in the West for sure. I believe all 5 of us are
We'll
in
yeah,
playoff contention right now.
as of right now, if you were to look, oh goodness, yeah, so everyone in the West is 3-3 or above. So as of right now, everyone within the West Division, if the playoffs were to start this week, the whole entire West would be in, and then just Drax from the
Strax,
East.
yep. Holding it down for the West. Let's go.
Shout out to all of our West Division for taking a majority of the games this weekend. I'm sorry I couldn't get it done, but I'll regain that this weekend. Let's jump into our next matchup. Bench Don't Kill My Vibe versus Cortland Sutton. And Cortland Sutton's putting together some back-to-backs and back in that 500 and climbing his way up the rankings.
It's an ugly matchup, man. So super low scoring. Both teams sub 100 points.
Less than a point
But
between
you know
them
what?
both.
Yeah, like you said, back-to-back dubs for Cortland Sutton. Man, uh, what's going on with bench five, man? Our back-to-back champ, or our two-time champ, excuse me. Uh, she's got to get something going here. She's only spent $20 in fab to kind of fix up this team. And when I say fix it up, her team is beat up, man. She's got a lot of injuries here. And looking at the bench, running back, running back, running back, running back. No depth for receiver here. Then her other starting running back, David Montgomery, he's going to miss some time. She has got to get something done here, or she may not win another game. Honestly, this is really tough for the two-time champ.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Definitely got to make some moves. DeMarcado, people were talking about him until pretty much late last week when he came in on that depth chart as the number 2, and I think that might have been a downfall from her part, but you know, not much you can do with zero depth on the bench, like you said.
Yeah.
But going over to Cortland Sutton, you know, these gritty back-to-back wins by less than, a point, last week against you and this week against Bench Don't Kill My Vibe. Whatever gets it done, but I mean this guy is, I'm sure he's biting his nails come Monday night and hoping for the best.
Yeah, definitely. I like that he's still staying competitive, getting some wins going, but I don't know, he's carrying 3 quarterbacks on the roster right now. I imagine that's probably going to change just to kind of shore up some of that depth on the roster here. Need some help with receiver if you're looking a couple of down weeks. Ridley here, that's a tough one. I do think that'll be a bounce back. I'm just worried, that I like the Lawrence Ridley stack, but Jacksonville, we talked about it last week. They just spread it around so much. I personally believe that Kirk is probably the more valuable receiver there. But I do think Ridley's going to be fine. Higgins, man, I don't know, dude. I don't know how to feel about Burrow and the Bengals in general. So that's another question mark there.
What is he
like
doing right here,
Pickens,
Cody?
that'll
Pickens on a
change. That'll change
bye?
for sure. No, no,
Well,
no.
this is
So what
last
happened here
week.
is he took Palmer out of the lineup to risk not losing points on the Monday night game, which I think realistically was probably a good move on his part. She had nobody left to play coming into Monday night. I've made this move before. I think that was really smart for him. So that's why Pickens is in there.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, if it at that point you're guaranteeing yourself the win, I would have done that, myself if Dallas is. If I was up in my matchup against Sheamus with Dallas's D, I would have done the same thing, and we had touched on that last weekend.
Yep, absolutely.
All right,
Yeah, a
jump
couple of
into.
that I think if they can get some depth, especially for me's sake, could be interesting moving forward. But we can move on to the next one.
Steeler Virginity, Revenge of the Aints, blowout.
Yeah, not a lot to say on this one. Seven's team really let him down, and Jordan's team blew up. That's really all there is to this one. Really tough though. That I thought was noteworthy for this matchup. These two players made a trade last week. Derrick Henry for Deebo Samuel straight up, and for me, if I'm getting a trade done, I don't like to do it with the player that I'm playing that week specifically. I also would prefer to do it with the team I've already played. But in this instance, I know Seven was really kicking himself. Derrick Henry has, I think, probably his best game of the year. Deebo Samuel gets hurt with a shoulder, gives him a solid 2 carries for 11 yards, and that's it. Tough way to win when that happens for you.
Yeah, I'm the exact same way when it comes to trades. I don't want to trade with someone I'm going to be playing the same exact week. Just never. It makes the gut punch a little bit worse when you get the L or something like this scenario happens where your player that you originally had, for instance, with 7 having Derrick Henry and then getting Deebo, and you see that player throw up a good amount of points and the player you get throws up pretty much a dud. So never like doing that, but overall, I
That's a
mean,
gut punch.
yeah, like we, like you said, Revenge of the Aints team just didn't really have it this week. Curious to see what goes on with Josh Allen with that shoulder. That might be interesting to see as the injury report gets updated tomorrow going into Thursday.
I'm more intrigued here looking at Revenge of the Aints running back situation. Dameon Pierce shared a lot of time with Devin Singletary this past weekend, and he just hasn't really looked good overall. And I think Revenge of the Aints was really hanging on to the hope that Austin Eckler was going to be able to carry that backfield. So getting rid of Derrick Henry, gave him a lot of trade value there. But with this last, obviously Eckler's first game back from the injury, not a great game. I thought he looked okay, just not a ton of production, at least not what you're hoping for. What do you see as far as the backfield here for Revenge of the Aints? This is concerning to say the least.
To be fair, I mean, you double stack Taylor and Moss?
Yeah. Alex Moss still out producing Taylor. Do you think Taylor eventually takes over? Or is this going to be...
I think it might be a split share with the way that Moss is going right now. I mean, don't change something if it's working, right? I mean, if it's working right now,
I believe the saying is don't fix it if it ain't broken.
Yeah. There you go. Thank you. I mean,
the team has the capability to put up points. It's just a matter if it's going to be consistent or not. This is going to be one of those teams where the management from week to week is going to be the question. I mean, looking at the bench, Drake London has a good week. Amari Cooper, good week. Zach Moss, good week. All that production coming on the bench, so depth is good, but then you play a guessing game week in and week out of which is going to be the right start. And unfortunately, this week, that was exactly what his downfall was.
Yeah, I completely agree. But I do see a bounce back here for him this week, and we'll kind of see where that goes. Jump into our last matchup of last week, Hot Chub Time Machine and One Great Taste. And I mean, overall, another blowout for sure. I mean, it's all in all, just kind of looking. Devontae doing nothing, D-Hop doing nothing, Osborne not really doing much. Not really much depth on both of these rosters either.
Yeah, we touched on it in the last episode. I think Hot Tub Time Machine is kind of stuck in a rut right now, and these things they tend to happen. You know what I mean? The losses keep coming. He's got a decent team. He's just had a tough go of it, man. I'm looking at the matchup here. Burrow, underwhelming. Madison, that you can expect, 9 to 13 points every week out of him. Waddle showed up finally, but like you said, a couple of spots in there with less than 5 points. That's a tough way to win. So, man, on the opposite side, another big dub for the West. Ryan is quietly crushing it. His team looks great. The addition of Jordan Addison there, I think, is really going to pay off some dividends. And this really sucks for Hot Chub time machine because he is the Justin Jefferson owner. So I think if he could have gotten a trade done to pick up Addison, that would have benefited because I think he's going to be the one over KJ Osborne there. And clearly that's what happened this week.
Yep.
Yeah,
right, sir.
it's another one. Not a lot to say. Big blowout. Good win for the West. I was reaching out to some of these guys in the East and said, hey, I need you guys to get some dubs in here to give me some space between these guys. But the exception of Seamus couldn't get it done, man.
Yeah.
I'm
The
gonna
only
keep
one that
poking
got
that
it
little
done
button
for
of
you.
yours.
Fuck out of here. But I mean, yeah, overall, I mean, I think the West is definitely like I said last week, I think the West is just the more dominant division this year, and we'll see how things go. But jumping into last week, rough week for you with pick'ems between matchups. I mean, you got two games right.
Myself and Ryan. Yep.
Yep. And I got 4 out of the 5 right. So I didn't do too bad. Myself would, if I could have just got the dub, I would have finally went 100% for once.
Yeah, that sucks, man. the only pick 'em you got wrong was yourself. Ouch.
Yeah. Terrible.
Do you know where that leaves us on the season? What our totals are? We'll have to look that up. I think this week's probably going to give you the edge for sure.
Yeah, I'll have the edge by I think a game on you.
Yeah. Whatevs. Let's see what we can get going for this week. You want to talk about this upcoming week's matchups?
Let's do it. All right. Just jump right into the top. Start with myself versus Draxton Sclounce. Gonna give him his second L of the week. Back-to-back weekends. I think my team performs very well, and I think I have a bounce back week this week to get back in the win column. Curious to see how everything goes with CMC. Obviously he's gonna switch Fields out, I think. But yeah, I
Fields is gonna
mean,
miss some time.
yeah, Fields will be out for a little bit. But overall, I mean, I'm pretty excited about this matchup, and I think head to head, it'll be a nice. I'm gonna jump out to a nice little gap, I think, on Thursday, and we both have players playing Thursday, so it'll be kind of good to see how that plays out. And then it looks like he has possibly I mean, we both also will have players Monday night. So, start to finish on the week, we'll have players going throughout overall. So it'll be enticing to watch kind of those games in prime time and see what happens.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if he's got Keenan Allen on the bench right now. I get that it's a division game there, and Kansas City's defense has been playing great. But watching Keenan Allen play, man, like I don't see how he can sit him. You know, I'd play him over Davis and Olave.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll see what progress is from that. So it'll be obviously the lineups are going to change a little bit in terms of prediction, but I think I get the edge this week, and I think this prediction probably should be closer to like 132, but on at least my team. Obviously this week I don't have Chase, so that does take some decent points out, I think. But I do foresee when I get Chase back, I'm excited because I think he has a bounce back week from
For sure. Yeah, I'm curious
I
to see
wouldn't
what his
even
plan
say
is
a
here.
bounce back week because I mean he still threw up 80 yards, but be interesting to see what happens when he comes back after that bye. I think some rest will help him and go with the flow. Jump into your matchup here versus Amelia's Army, and I mean I gotta be honest, I'm pulling for him this week to beat you, man. I gotta
Stop. Why would you say that?
I
Oh, we were friends.
I gotta get back into that 1 seed, man, in the West, and overall, if that happens, pretty much, we'll see what happens. But I'm pulling for him in a way.
I'm telling James that you're rooting for
I know, fuck that guy.
him. Yeah, this is I got to be honest. I'm a little nervous about this matchup. Projections right now have him favored a little bit, and I don't know. I may try to get something done between now. Well, we're recording again Tuesday night, so I pretty much got tomorrow to see if I can make some moves here. I would love to get myself another running back to throw there. I don't think we've mentioned it yet, but this is a huge week for buys. I think there's like 7 teams on buy or something like that. That includes
Picks.
both of my starting running backs, Pollard and Mixon, on the bench this week. So would really like to get a little bit of a better play there at my running back position. A couple of tough matchups for my other position players, Tyreek Hill against Philly. But here's an interesting situation, kind of like Drax and I had last week. I've got Tyreek Hill, best receiver in the game right now. Seamus has got his quarterback. So that's the same situation we had last week. I had Herbert, Drax had Keenan Allen. So that kind of balances out the points a little bit. Brandon Ayuk at Minnesota. I like that. I'm hoping, obviously I don't want Debo to be injured, but as long as he is, I'm hoping that Ayuk soaks up a lot of those targets. CMC being down, I'm hoping Ayuk soaks up a lot of those targets. So I look forward to that. That's a Monday night game. Zay Flowers and Jerome Ford in my flex. Flowers has been playing well. So is Detroit. So I'm nervous about that matchup. Jerome Ford, we'll see. Spent a lot of time with Kareem Hunt last week. So you guys may have been onto something there now that Kareem Hunt's got his legs under him. But I'm nervous about this one, man. I'm hoping to switch up my defense. We'll see how that plays off tonight when waivers clear. Opposite side, he's got Nakua, Cup, both in the lineup. So I'm cool with that. Play them both, man. Go for it. Najee,
Yeah.
good. Give him another solid 4 points like you have been all year. Love it. I'm serious, man. I don't think I have ever had Najee Harris on any of my fantasy teams, and I never will. That is one of those players for me. Like, even if he started doing well, I'd never pick him up. I don't know why. Do you have any players like that you just absolutely 100% avoid at all costs?
Ooh.
I can't bring
Off the
myself
top of my
to
head, I can't think of anyone right now. I mean, I tend to stay away from New England running backs. I'll say that, and I'm a New England fan. But I just, at least since Brady's been gone, I stay away. There's no, I just don't like that backfield right now, and they're not doing anything offensively to be productive.
Yeah. I just can't bring myself to get excited about Najee Harris. But hopefully that pans out this week, because I would love to have these projections look a little bit closer. I think I can get it done. Obviously, vote for myself, like you said, but it's going to be close, man. And I'll be honest, I'm really not looking forward to hearing all the shit he has to talk if he does beat me. Hopefully I can get it done.
Yeah. Jump into our next matchup, Revenge of the Aints and Cortland Sutton. Be interesting. Obviously, predictions are gonna change. Dameon Pierce being out for Revenge of the Aints. The Jets on a bye for Cortland Sutton. I do think that Eckler doesn't. I mean, I don't know how to feel about him against the Kansas D. I don't really think he's gonna do too much, but we'll see what happens there.
If you've waited this long to get Eckler back, you can't sit him, right? You're not going to bench him in this matchup.
Yeah, exactly. I think DJ Moore has a good week this week, kind of bounces back as well.
With a backup quarterback?
Yeah, that's the question, is with a backup, what's going to happen there? Might be interesting to see what depth he goes. Does he put in Christian Watson? Does he put in Drake London? after the week he just had. Who knows what happens there. Curious to see what happens with Debo as well, on that injury report.
Yeah, just looking, they've both got a player on bye, so these projections are definitely going to change. And we mentioned Cortland Sutton earlier. He's rostering CJ Stroud, Trevor Lawrence, and Brock Purdy at the moment. I would imagine CJ Stroud is probably going to get dropped back to the waiver wire this week and see what other moves he can put together. But, it's strange. Everybody says that projections don't mean anything, which in large part they really don't. But if you look at the projections historically for our teams in this league for this season, they have been telling a little bit of a story here. The lower scoring teams, no offense, Steven or Cortland Sutton, the projections have had a bit of a correlation to the scores on those weeks. Last week, barely putting up 87 points. Projections, man, like you can't rely on them, but it does, squeaking out a win with just 100 points. That's, I don't want to say discouraging, but alarming.
It's tough. Because then you play a team, for instance, like mine or Seamus, who's throwing up 130 a week. I'm walking into that game and I'm feeling beyond confident with my roster, and I look at projections, and if I see someone having 100 points, I'm feeling pretty damn good going into the week. Like, I'm favored by this many. The only way I lose is if someone absolutely just goes off the wall with their points.
Yeah, I watch projections the same way I do like the win percentage during the week when the games are playing. Like you've got a 60% chance to win this matchup, and obviously those things fluctuate, but like I pay attention to them and I watch it all day long.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you definitely want to pay attention to at least the projections, but I mean, you can't take them into full account on that aspect. But let's jump into our next matchup: Hot Chub Time Machine, Steeler Virginity. Projections here for sure going to change, especially with Hot Chub Time Machine not having a quarterback in right now. So he's going to be hitting the waiver wire to pick someone
I
up.
hope
So
so.
we'll see that for. I think we'll see that in the morning. Now he doesn't have any fab, right? Because he used it all on Ache.
No, that was Ryan.
Oh, that was Ryan. Okay.
Yeah, Hot Chub Time Machine has $40 left.
Okay. So he's gonna probably pick up someone for sure.
Yeah, now's the time in the season where I expect teams like Hot Chub Time Machine and Bench Don't Kill My Vibe and even Drax. Like I would expect some of these ads that are coming tonight to have big dollar values on them.
Big dollar values. I'm sure we'll probably see um
Which
offers,
sucks.
even trade offers with fab attached to them. I
Which
can
sucks
see
too.
it
I
happen.
think about some of the players that are available. Man, like Zach Evans, you're gonna drop 20, $25 on a number two because the number one is out. Like that sucks, man.
Yeah.
But you don't really have a choice.
No.
I'm not saying that that's who he's going to pick up, but like that's the type of money you're going to have to spend. You're going to go out. Who are you going to get off the waiver wire for your quarterback? You're going to have to. I mean, maybe you don't have to spend a ton of money because not everybody else needs a quarterback, but it's just slim pickings out there. And if you have to spend money on slim pickings, it's kind of frustrating.
Yeah, absolutely agree. So we'll see how that plays out. But overall, I mean, Mostert, I expect another solid week from him. Barkley, another solid week.
Oh, for sure.
Good to have, I guess, kind of that offset with Waddle, but we'll see how that pans out.
Most it's
I
going to get his for sure.
Yeah, Mostert will get his. Expect that game to be a shootout, to be 100% honest. I think Devontae goes off this weekend.
Maybe with another backup quarterback, man.
Yeah, that's true though. So that's that's rough. Having that backup in, and you don't know what's really gonna happen. Looks like there's some Thursday players on here, some Monday players, so this will go into prime time on Monday night football and kind of see what happens there. But yeah, I mean I think this is going to be a decent matchup. I do think Steeler Virginity pulls out the win though.
Oh, for sure. I'm nervous for Hot Tub Time Machine. Obviously these are going to change once he gets his lineup fixed up, gets a quarterback in there. But the Madison Osborne stack for Minnesota, that Monday night game, in my opinion, man, is going to be ugly. San Francisco coming off of a tough loss in Cleveland. Now they get Minnesota at home in prime time. I think Minnesota gets destroyed in this game.
Yeah, I think this is a 10+ point spread. I couldn't agree more with you there.
At least,
and
yeah.
we know how Kirk Cousins performs in prime time, so
yeah, for sure. Hopefully that's not the case. I'd like to see this be a close matchup. Would love to see him pull out a dub against Steeler Virginity to help us out in the West. I just don't see it, man. I'll take Steeler Virginity here too. But he talked about it this weekend. He hasn't been playing Michael Thomas much. He's got him in the lineup, so that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, and another thing I saw was he's got some guys on a bye, so
yeah, almost his whole bench is on bye. That's crazy.
Yeah. Jump into our last matchup here. Bench Don't Kill My Vibe and One Great Taste. Man.
What? I'm giving the dub to him. It's not going to be close. This is going to be about as close as the Monday Night Football game.
Oh, this is going to One Great Taste. Yeah, 100%. Couldn't agree more. Bench Don't Kill My Vibe is getting another L this week unless AJ Brown throws up 40+.
Even if he does, she has got to do work this week. And what's bothering me too, it's driving me nuts. And I know that she does it her own way. And clearly being our only 2-time champ, she knows what she's doing. But it's driving me insane that she's not using her IR spot. She's got so many hurt players. Like, put somebody on the IR.
But they're all out. They're all out. They're not on the IR.
We can put out players on the IR.
Oh, I did. Okay. I didn't think you could.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure
you
can.
I mean.
But either way, I mean, like, girl, you got to make some moves here or your season is done for.
Yeah.
David Montgomery's going to be out. Jahmyr Gibbs, is he going to play? I think he's going to be back. I see this being an easy win for One Great Taste.
Yeah, I completely agree. And right there, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, and
yeah. Not a lot to talk. Okay, here's an interesting one for this game. Jerry Jeudy. Is this going to be his last game in Denver?
I think so. I think he goes on a plane right back with Green Bay.
That'd be so awkward, man. Hop on your plane. Ugh.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Sucks being a Broncos
to see that right after the game Monday. Jerry Jeudy traded to the Packers.
I don't know that would be like the best landing spot for him, but either way, like wherever he goes, it's going to be good for One Great Taste. He's going to be in a better situation either way.
Unless Jerry Jeudy ends up in New England, which is also rumored.
Okay, maybe maybe that wouldn't be better, but
I'm just being honest, man.
Yeah.
I personally think the Patriots just tank for Caleb Williams, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Because Mac Jones is not it, and his career is coming to a close pretty damn quick in my eyes.
Yeah.
just
Gotta
really
be
hasn't
tough.
done much. I mean, offense there looks absolute abysmal. So,
Oh yeah, it's bad, dude. It's real bad.
but
Let's
it could be
recap the
worse.
week 7 games real quick. Let's get our picks out there again. You're taking yourself for the win over Stefan. I think I'm going to do the same.
I'm taking myself. I'm gonna take you
Yeah,
over Emilio's army. I'm gonna
same.
take. I'm gonna take Revenge of the Aints this week.
Same.
I'm gonna take Steeler Virginity,
Yep. And one
and
great
I'm gonna
taste.
take One Great Good Taste.
Yeah. Well, just because I need to try to make up some games here, I'm actually going to switch mine. I'll take Cortland Slutton over Revenge of the Aints. I got to try to mix it up and get some games back on you here.
I think I don't think he's in a. I think this week is going to be a lot more of a spread matchup for him than these 1 point games. But we'll see. We'll see what happens there.
Cool. Well, that's week 7, guys. Like I said, halfway through the fantasy season. Don't forget, we've got waivers tonight and our trade deadline. If you're trying to make some moves, we've got 3 weeks left. Week 10, that's it. What's your thoughts on that? You like week 10 as a trade deadline? I was listening to a podcast earlier and it said push the trade deadline back as far as you can. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I wouldn't mind it back to like
Like
week
12,
11, week
11 or
11 or week
12?
12. Yeah, I wouldn't mind that, but I also do like people being forced to, the last 4 weeks of the regular season having their roster pretty much. I mean, at that point, you pretty much have your roster fully set unless someone goes down, right? I mean,
To say like if there's a big injury or something like that, like if you're a contender for the playoffs and like let's say CMC gets hurt in week 10 or week 11 and he doesn't have the opportunity to make some sort of trade with the depth on his bench, I could see, that being a reason to push it back a little further. Let us know, guys, how you feel about that. Would love to hear your opinions on that. Maybe that's something that we talk about in the offseason, pushing back the trade deadline a little bit. Drop a comment. Tell us what you think.
all right,
All
let's
right, Brandon, do you want to move into your favorite segment of each week? How'd you do this last week, man?
bro, I started the week with $200 in my DraftKings account. Closed out the week with 800. Put together a pretty parlay with some with Diggs, Brown. Who else did I have? Cup and Amon-Ra, all getting over 100 reception yards. Turned $10 into over 600, so I was pretty thrilled
That
on
was
that.
nice. You texted me that. That was so sick.
And I wish I would have. I low key. I had another one with uh Chase
Yeah.
and who am I missing? I had another
Keenan
one with
Allen.
Chase. No, someone else had that had 100. If Chase would have got the 100, I would have hit that one, and that one was like $1 bet that would have turned into 400. So if I would have threw $10 on it, it would have turned into 4,400. But yeah, I mean, let's jump into this week because I do have something kind of along that aspect this week that I do like. And I'll jump into that here for this week. So let's pull up. This is gonna be my kind of Hail Mary, but also I feel very confident with this player prop parlay. Um, so I'm gonna take the Lions money line, the Bills money line. I think they bounce back this week. I'm gonna take the Browns money line after that win against the 49ers. I think the Colts with a backup aren't gonna be able to do much. I like the Raiders. I like the Bucks. I like the Seahawks. I like the Chiefs. I like the Packers. I like the 49ers bouncing back. And then I expect this Eagles-Dolphins game to be a shootout. The over-under right now is like 50 plus. I took it at 46.5. $10 pays out $983. Not a bad parlay there. And then I'm gonna put in this player prop parlay for this weekend. Questionable on DJ Moore. This is the one I'm most questionable about, but I do like Diggs 80 plus receptions or receiving yards. St. Brown over 80 yards. DJ Moore, like I said, iffy. Probably not going to put that in this parlay, but I do like Travis Kelce with over 70 receiving yards, AJ Brown with over 80, and then Tyreek Hill with over 80. Once I have the ability to put this in, I'm gonna post this on our socials so everyone can see it, and I'll share it out just so everyone can kind of see where this is lining up. But I'm expecting this to probably be somewhere around $10 into 1,200 or so.
Sweet.
And then my Thursday night parlay I got Kamara to score a touchdown, ETN to score a touchdown, over 39.5. I like Kamara with over 40 rushing, Christian Kirk with 50 plus receiving, Evan Ingram with 25 plus, and then I'm iffy on Calvin Ridley, but I think he can get 40 yards. And that's $5 pays out 70, $10 pays out 140.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. I heard you've been getting a little bit of feedback about some of these bets. People are starting to take your advice and winning some money. So that's awesome, man. I love to hear that.
Yeah, and I think one thing I might start doing is kind of more of these player prop bets going into the week. Seems to be hitting a little bit better for me than just taking, some of these other bets. Feel a little bit more confident with these kind of, player picks. And it seems to be working for me right now. And like I said, I mean, when you turn $10 into over 600, there's no better feeling than that, right?
I wouldn't know because Idaho can't get their shit together and allow sports betting. You got to go down to Nevada or come back to Colorado, I guess.
Maybe that's a reason for you to move back to Colorado, eh?
And to come home. We'll see. Maybe one day, man.
Maybe one day. The time's a ticking, bro.
Yeah, you're telling me, dog. Well, thanks for that, Brandon. We've got one more segment here. We do have a question for Commissioner Corner this week, so we can jump on into that, get that answered, and send everybody on for week 7.
All right, let's jump into Commissioner Corner this week. So this week's question is, I have a solid league, but every year it seems like there are teams that have a rough start and eventually just give up, not making waiver ads, not making trades, etc. In my mind, this is tanking and makes it less fun for the rest of us. How do you keep people from giving up?
Interesting timing for this question. I think kind of ties into our question to start off the show. When is it appropriate to throw in the towel? I think in general, you shouldn't ever just give up. And I completely agree with this person. I maybe it's not tanking in the eyes of that manager who's essentially giving up, but it does suck and it makes it tough for everybody else. My question for this person would be, what's at stake for this league? Are you just playing for fun? I think that's going to be the answer to a lot of these questions. Like, is this a competitive league where you're paying for money or things like that? If you are, yeah, you should definitely have something in place that kind of prevents this. Like, for example, we talked about it before in one of our Commissioner Corner segments. Do you have something in the rules? GSC does. We have an anti-tanking provision that says if you're one of those managers that just gives up, you're out. There's no way you're going to make the playoffs. There's no way you're going to make money. You're still expected to put together a lineup every week. You can't be leaving players in on their buys. Nobody's going to force you to make waiver ads or trades or anything like that. But we do expect you to still keep playing. And Seven talked about it in his interview. If you haven't had a chance to see that episode, go check it out, because he makes a really good point that in a league that is competitive, even if you're at the bottom, there is a little bit of fun to be had in playing spoiler, right? Like, if you're coming up against one of these teams that you lost to earlier in the year, go in there and make it harder for them to get into the playoffs. Go make it harder for them to win in the playoffs. I don't know. It's really dependent on the type of people that you're playing with. And I think if you want to avoid things like that, then this would be a conversation you need to have with that manager to see if they have a future in that league. Because really, if that's how it's going to be, that's never going to change, and that's probably going to be the person that's never in the playoffs every year. So make a change there. That's my opinion on it.
Yeah, and I think also it comes down to how engaged is this league overall. I mean, is it a league where it's kind of just a bunch of people put together that really don't know each other, or is it a league where you do have this camaraderie built, and everyone has a somewhat communication together, whether it be group chat, whatever aspect you have portrayed for that. But I think that is a key piece within this, because I mean, if you have people that are in a league where they are active and they are constantly talking back and forth, whether whatever it may be, it doesn't even have to be fantasy related. I mean, our fantasy group, we don't always talk about football. There's other shit that we mention all the time. But I mean, we stay in contact year long. And it really just, in my eyes, I think if you have a league where you have people that are consistently talking and communicating with each other, there's a level of accountability to everyone within that. And if someone's not holding that on their end, maybe you do need to put in some kind of you know clause or something along those lines where you do make them be active. And if they're not, you get two strikes or whatever it may be and bounces out.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I know all too well how tough it is to want to stay competitive and want to stay involved if your team has just really let you down. But there are other things that you can include into your league that keep it exciting. Like if you wanted to do, some sort of payout for the weekly highest scoring team, or things like that. You can keep them engaged with extracurricular things like that if you wanted to. But I think Brandon makes a really good point as far as the engagement goes. As a commissioner, keep talking to these people, keep them, interested and, excited to be a part of the league. There's always next year and always next week.
Exactly. But that'll close us out for the week, Cody.
Cool.
Another episode down, and just keep it moving forward. Think we got a guest player exclusive this weekend, so looking forward to that.
Yes, sir. Just want to take a minute to remind everybody that we've got and we keep saying it and we're going to keep plugging it in there, but we've got some really exciting things coming up, so please stay tuned, not just for the podcast, but we're also going to be rolling out some cool things for Get Sunday, cover the league itself. So really excited to keep working on those things, and can't wait to share it with everybody.
I'm so excited. Yeah, people I think are going to be blown away by what's coming in the future, and I really think you and I are just elevating everything overall. And I just don't I just don't think people are ready for what's coming, and I'm very excited to see where things go.
Same. And speaking of, guys, for those of you that are in Get Sunday covered, don't forget, we got to get this party planning underway. We are coming up on November, so time's moving quickly, guys. Don't forget, let's get our votes in for where we want to go, where we want to stay, things like that. See you in the group chat, I suppose.
Don't forget, drop a like, comment, and be sure to follow or subscribe all of our socials and our YouTube if you haven't already. But be sure to always hit us up to get your Sundays covered.
All right, guys, we'll see you next week. Good luck, everyone.